everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me again today. My name is Kelly Egan, and this is Nothing But Tracks. This is episode 7, and I want to thank everybody who has listened to any or all of my episodes up into this point. I really do appreciate you. And if you have an example of a time where something crazy happened to you or you learned a good trick, I want to hear about it. So feel free to shoot me a message or direct message me on Instagram, which is Nothing But Tracks on Instagram, or send me an email, which is nothingbuttracks77 on Gmail. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it today with Kelly Egan's Rule to Adventuring number 7, which is eat local. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that this is kind of a double-edged sword, okay? My family always likes to try to eat local as much as possible and find these one-of-a-kind places, these mom-and-pop restaurants who have been there for years and years and years and have an amazing product. Now, that's not always what happens. So I'm going to share some examples of a couple times where we found these amazing places, and they are one of our favorite places in the entire world. And I'm going to share a couple that, you definitely regret. So let's go ahead and get started. So when I was little, one of my first vacations or trips that I remember I've talked about before was going to Natural Bridge, Kentucky. And I'm not exactly sure how old I was the first time I went to this particular restaurant, but I know I have been back several dozens of times in my life because it is one of my favorite places. In the city of Slade, Kentucky is a restaurant called Miguel's. It's a pizza place that is owned by a man named Miguel. He moved there for the rock climbing. So he makes all these pizzas. It's a pizza place. And he has this big property, and he lets hikers and climbers, pay, and they can pitch tents. He has all this really, really cool stuff going on there. He's got this outdoor seating area. He has all these areas in the back where you can tent camp, or even if you have a small RV or you live in a van, you can pay and you can come set up a tent and then buy some pizza. And on the inside of this place, there's like climbing gear hanging from the ceiling. There's ropes, there's shoes, there's shirts, anything that you could ever want to climb. I've never really climbed, but I definitely want to try it at some point in my life. He has all this gear hanging all over the place. And then he has these little like half sheets of paper, and that's how you place your order for your pizza. You put your name on it, you pick the sauce you want, you pick all the ingredients you want on it, and then you go up to the front, hand it over to them, and pay. And then they have these runners that'll come out and try to find you. And every time I've gone back to Miguel's restaurant, or back to Miguel's Pizza, I should say, he's always building something. Last time we were there, he was redoing the back of the building and adding on to it so there's more indoor seating. He has built this really, really nice shower house that has a couple of rooms up top because, sometimes when you're camping and who knows, there's emergency situations where sometimes you end up in a hotel or renting a room. He has a couple rooms you can rent. He's got a really nice basketball court. It's just really one of these places that is so hard to put into words. And I think the best way to show just how cool of a place this is through pictures. So if you follow me on Instagram, I will definitely post some pictures there so you can really see it for yourself. Because I think when you see it, you feel the vibe that the place has. And it is one of my favorite places in the entire world. I have several t-shirts last time I was there. I bought a glow-in-the-dark Nalgene bottle that has Miguel's logo on it. And it's one of those really cool things that I wear my Miguel shirt every time I go on a vacation or go on a trip. And all over the place, wherever I go, there's always at least one person that recognizes the shirt. And they're like, oh, Miguel's Pizza. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. And it's one of those things that you immediately have a talking point with that person about, and you already are so bonded to that person because you're like, hey, this person has some killer taste. That's just one place. Another time when my family was in Washington, D.C., we have since gone back to this place, and it was not as good the second time. But we were in Washington, D.C. when I was a little girl, and we didn't really have a lot of money on that particular trip, and D.C. had set a 3-day rain record, and it was just so much rain just soaked through your bones. You were cold to the bone. And it was raining when it was time for dinner. And so we're on the subway back to our campsite on the outside of DC because, there's no camping inside of DC. So we're on the train, and my dad is just kind of sitting there, and I can just see him all like sad because we were going to go back to the campsite and make ramen in the rain on a camp stove. It was not going to be pretty. So my little brother, he said, "Daddy, I have my spending money. I want to buy pizza for everybody so we don't have to go back and eat in the rain." We ended up at this place called Three Brothers, I think is what it was called, and we had this Alfredo pizza, and it was really, really good. And I don't know if it was just that good because we were that hungry or if it was actually a really good product. I will never know because the second time when we went back, it was horrible. It was so bad. So I'm assuming it was more we were starving to death and cold and it was warm and not raining inside of this building. But that was a really cool experience. There's so many other times where you just come across the right place at the right time and it just feeds your soul and you just connect with a place so much. And I know there's more, and I'll probably do another episode on this later on, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple times where it doesn't work out so much to eat locally. Like I said, it's a double-edged sword, and this is that side. Okay, are we ready? Be prepared. Don't do these things, okay, guys? These are the tips that I'm going to share with you so you save yourself in the future and you don't repeat my mistakes, okay? Here we go. My family goes to Kentucky a lot or Hocking Hills area because we live in Ohio and it's really not that far. So we were in Logan County, I think, and we were going to the Hocking Hills area. And we'd found this really cool place. It was called, what was it called? I want to say it was like Fudge Factory, where they sold nothing but homemade fudge. We were like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's go check it out. So we went and we got some stuff and we tried a couple different pieces, but we're like, okay, let's not fill up on fudge. We still need to go eat dinner. And we really couldn't find a local place that looked super, super good. So we ended up going to this Mexican restaurant. And it was pretty good if my memory serves me right. So then we decided for dessert to eat fudge. Guys, listen to me very carefully. If you learn nothing else from listening to this podcast, listen up. Do not eat fudge, then Mexican, then more fudge. We were in a tent, guys, and the bathhouse was a good trek away. And I'm laying in the tent at night, and I just am in physical agony so bad. Oh, man. Without getting too graphic here, it was maybe the most physical pain I have been in that context. And I was laying there on the ground in my sleeping bag, just praying that I didn't have to get up because it was cold, guys. And I'm just laying there. I'm like, oh, I can't wait any longer because whenever you're in a tent, you wait until the last possible second to get up out of your bed because you just kind of hope it'll go away or that your body will absorb it. But it doesn't do that. That's not how bodies work. So I'm laying there and I'm like, there's no way I am going to be able to get to the bathhouse in time. So I wake up my dad. I'm like, Dad, wake up. I gotta go to the bathroom right now. And I guess he'd been laying there in the same amount of agony as I was. So as soon as I said that, both of my brothers are like, I gotta go too. I gotta go right now. So we all hopped in the car and Dad drove us over to the bathhouse. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever been in a bathroom that long in my entire life. It was so horrible. It was so painful. I don't think I've eaten fudge since that day. And that was over, 10, 15 years ago. It's funny now, but at the time it was horrible. And then the other place that I can think of off the top of my head that was a horrible, horrible dining experience. I was up at Assateague Island with my dad a couple years ago. Another one of my favorite places to go is Assateague Island off the coast of Maine and, off the coast of Virginia and Maryland. One of the places we'd eaten at before was really packed, so we're like, okay, well, let's try a different place. and there's a whole bunch of really cool, like, one-of-a-kind restaurants on Assateague Island. So we found this Italian place. It sounded good. It was Maria's Italian Restaurant. Listen, guys, Maria's Italian Restaurant. Do not eat there ever. We walk in, and it looks fine. And then we go over to the salad bar, and all of the stuff in the salad bar is like the cheap ingredients, and all of the cheap ingredients look bad. Like the lettuce is brown. Guys, there is no expensive items on the salad bar. Like there's no bacon, there's no anything good. There's nothing there. It's literally lettuce, cheese, and like carrots. That's all there is. It was pitiful. My dad went to the restroom, and he said that like all of the toilets in the bathrooms were overflowing. He went and told management, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we know." He's like, "Are you gonna do something?" They're like, "Probably not." And I'm just like, how do you have a restaurant like that? Like, and it's not a health hazard? I don't know. So we were already really annoyed. Our drinks were not coming. And like the one thing you have to do is give drinks if you're gonna make people wait and wait and wait. We waited for over an hour and a half for our food, and when our food got there, it was like gray, and it looked freezer burned. Like, it was like they had freezer burned food that they're like, close enough to being actual food, and then cooked it too long, and then it was like gray. And I had like the spaghetti or something, and the spaghetti sauce literally tasted like marinara out of a jar. It was the nastiest thing I've ever eaten in my whole life. So I think I ate 2 or 3 bites, hoping that it would get better the more I ate it. And I'm like, Dad, I can't eat this. Like, I can't eat this. And the other thing is that the food was expensive. Like, my meal was like $15, and it was spaghetti. Like, it was not. I don't understand how they stay in business. I think I roasted them on Yelp or on like Google reviews. It was that bad. I'm pretty sure my dad called the waitress over. He's like, "We're not paying for this. We're leaving." And she's just like, "Okay, no big deal. Whatever." So clearly it's not the first time that somebody has been like, yeah, this is nasty. There's no way in heck we are eating this. So like I said, eating local is definitely a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not so worth it. But honestly, for the most part, we've found pretty good places. When we went out west this last year, we kind of had a hard time because we were both trying to eat healthier. So we ended up eating a lot of peanut butter. At least I did. But do your best. Don't eat at McDonald's. Don't eat at Waffle House. Don't eat at Pizza Hut. Find these one-of-a-kind places because sometimes they'll surprise you. Other times it'll be edible. But you'll have an experience, and then you can be like, okay, well, next time we come here, let's not eat at Maria's or at Three Brothers or whatever the case may be. So that's all I have for you guys today. So when you're out traveling, eat local, guys. Follow me on Instagram at Nothing But Tracks the Podcast. I'm also on YouTube if you want to see my videos there. If you have an experience or you've learned a good trick, let me know about it. DM me or hit me up at nothingbuttracks77@gmail.com. Leave it better than when you found it out there, guys. And take nothing but memories and leave nothing but tracks. Bye!